Hey, Politicals, welcome back to Based Behavior, the show where we say what everyone else is already thinking and we bring a little bit of sanity back to your week. We are back after a little break last week and we've got a completely packed lineup today. First, we are going to pull the curtain back on a dark money operation that's funding Democrat influencers online because those authentic voices that you see on your feed might actually be scripted by a liberal nonprofit. Then we're going to tackle the truth about Congress's so-called August recess. And here's a little spoiler, it's not a taxpayer-funded vacation. It's actually some of the hardest work that they do all year. Then we are going to get into Gavin Newsom's bizarre decision to troll Trump by acting exactly like him, complete with the all caps posts, the MAGA style merch, and then even some AI fan fiction. Plus, we've got a pop culture corner that proves fall Saturdays are absolutely sacred, and a hot take hotline where you asked me about kids and family and Trump's new executive order. Buckle up, it is going to be a good one. All right, let's start with this because it tells you everything about how Democrats play the game. Wired just exposed that a liberal dark money giant called the 1630 Fund has been secretly bankrolling more than 90 Democrat leaning social media influencers online with no transparency, no disclosure, completely hidden behind contracts that literally forbid them from telling their followers who is paying them. Here is how it all works. 1630 funnels millions into a chorus creator incubator program. Influencers sign contracts. Some of them are getting paid up to $8,000 a month. And in return, they pump out content that just so happens to perfectly line up with Democrat talking points. And the kicker is that the contracts forbid them from ever mentioning the program or the funders behind their opinions. So when you're scrolling TikTok or Instagram and you see some bubbly 20-something saying, I don't usually talk about politics, but here's why Trump is terrible, that's not random. It's not organic. It is a Democrat-run operation disguised as authenticity. Now, let me take a step back here and give you my perspective as someone who actually makes political content online. Now, if I partner with a brand like Old Navy or Tarte or whoever, I legally have to disclose it. Okay, I have to put hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored. I'm transparent with my audience because that's not only the law, it's also basic trust. My followers know when I'm sharing my opinion versus when I'm promoting a product. But Democrats, they've decided that they don't need to play by those rules. They pay influencers behind the scenes, they hand them talking points, and then hide it all through nonprofits so that they can pretend that it's grassroots. This is why conservative creators like me are constantly playing defense. We get fact checked for sharing news articles. We get shadow banned for saying basic truths like men can't get pregnant. But Democrat influencers can literally cash $8,000 checks from a dark money group, post the scripted propaganda, and it's complete crickets. The double standard could not be louder. And here's where it gets kind of personal. I know how much work it takes to build trust with an audience. The reason that so many of you follow Politics for Her on Instagram or TikTok, the whole reason that based behavior exists, is because I say what I actually think. There's no billionaire donor writing my takes. It's just me. Democrats don't trust their own ideas enough to do that. They have to disguise them as like normal girl content. They know that they can't sell socialism or abortion on demand in a campaign ad, so they slide it into someone's get ready with me video with a Starbucks cup in hand. That's how bad their ideas are. They have to trick you into absorbing them. And the scariest part is that it works. Most people aren't fact checking a TikTok. They're not asking, wait, who paid for this? They just take it in, and Democrats are counting on that. But here's what I think they're underestimating. People can smell fake, okay? Manufactured authenticity doesn't last. Do you remember when Biden's White House invited TikTokers in to explain gas prices? Everyone just laughed, and I think that this is going to end the same way. So my take on this is pretty simple. If your ideas are so good, then own up to them. Stop hiding. And if you're paying influencers to do your campaigning, that's fine, but disclose it, label it, be honest with voters instead of trying to manipulate them. Because when I sit down behind the mic and I talk to you, that's my voice. Okay, that's me. And that's why communities like this one are growing because people out there are starved for truth and authenticity. What do you guys think? Should political influencers have to play by the same disclosure rules as brand deals? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you've noticed this in your feeds as well, like the subtle slip ins of Democrat talking points in content. Okay, let's talk about something that I keep seeing floating around conservative spaces that I think needs to be cleared up. It's this idea that when Congress goes into August recess, that it's basically just a month-long vacation, that your congressman is packing their bags, they are hopping on a plane to Bora Bora and sipping cocktails for a month. And listen, I get why people could have that misconception. The word recess sounds like break time. It sounds like Congress gets the whole month off while the rest of us are still paying bills and juggling work and trying to keep our heads above water. But here's the truth, that could not be further from reality. Because here's what August recess actually is. Okay, it is a few weeks for members of Congress to bust their butts in their district. I have worked in politics long enough to see it firsthand. These men and women are not disappearing to beaches. They are on the ground nonstop doing town halls and state fairs and farm bureau meetings and ribbon cuttings and hospital tours and business roundtables and VFW fish fries, you name it. And why does any of this matter? Because part of their job, maybe the most important part, is representing us. And in order to do that, they need to know what we actually want. They can't just sit in Washington, D.C. all year in a bubble surrounded by lobbyists and staffers. They need to come home and hear directly from the people who put them there and see with their own eyes what's happening in their communities. This is something that I wish more conservatives would remember because we can get so frustrated with the DC gridlock that we assume everyone in Congress is lazy or checked out. But the reality is that August recess is when a lot of the real work happens. I mean, think about it. When a senator is in Washington, their day is jam-packed with committee hearings and floor votes and endless meetings. They might have like 5 minutes to scarf down a sandwich between running from one side of the Capitol to the other. That's not exactly quality time to hear from their constituents. But in August, they're home. They're walking through schools, talking to parents about curriculum. They're meeting with small business owners about regulations. They're listening to veterans and moms and retirees, the real people who are living with the consequences of Washington's decisions. They're talking to their constituents about what they're doing in DC. They're answering questions about the big, beautiful bill and the benefits that it's going to bring to their state and to their district. That is real representation. Now, sure, are there some politicians who probably do take advantage of recess to sneak away on vacation? Maybe. There are lazy people in every profession, but the vast majority, especially the conservative members that I know, are grinding. Their schedules in August are even more chaotic than when they're in DC because they're basically crisscrossing their entire district, going to every county fair and parade and community event that they can fit in. And honestly, I respect that because it's easy to sit in a Capitol office and read like polling data all day. It is a lot harder to look a mom in the eye when she tells you that her grocery bill has doubled, or a farmer who says that they cannot find any workers, or a police chief who's complaining about how he doesn't have the resources to keep his town safe. Those are the conversations that stick with you, and they're what members take back with them in September when Congress is back in session. So here's my message to conservatives who get frustrated when they hear about August recess. Don't roll your eyes, okay? Pay attention. This is the time to actually show up and make your voice heard. Go to that town hall. Introduce yourself at the county fair booth. Ask the hard questions because that's literally why recess exists, so that you have access to the people representing you. And let me be clear, holding members accountable doesn't mean assuming the worst. It does not mean blasting them online for taking time off. It means showing up, asking tough questions, and making sure that they know what matters to you. Because at the end of the day, recess isn't a vacation. It's part of the job. And it's one of the only times that members are guaranteed to be home face to face with the people who elected them. So next time that you see an August recess on the calendar, don't picture your congressman sipping pina coladas on the beach. Picture them eating corn dogs at the state fair and shaking hands at a parade and answering questions at a VFW hall. And know that this is how they learn what you want them to fight for in Washington. All right, let's shift gears and take a quick minute for a personal life update. Our family attended a wedding 2 weekends ago for my best friend slash cousin. And get this, not only was I a bridesmaid, my husband was a groomsman, my daughter was the flower girl, and my son was the ring bearer. This was literally a family affair if there ever was one. It was a great time. I love weddings. I love love. And I might have to double check, but I think that this might be the last wedding that we had on the books for the season. I'm kind of at that age where we attend less and less weddings every year because all of our friends are settling down and having kids. So I guess, I don't know, maybe I just appreciate them more and enjoy them more when I'm not attending 4 weddings in 1 month. But it was a really great time. I loved seeing my kids all dressed up in their formal attire. My 2-year-old refused to leave the dance floor. And in that moment, I was like, yes, this is 100% my kid, no DNA test needed. So that's a quick little personal life update. But now let's talk about something that's been happening in the last couple of weeks that's kind of bizarre. Gavin Newsom has decided that the best way to take on Trump is to become Donald Trump. Like the governor of California, the same guy whose party has spent years clutching their pearls over Trump's tone and his demeanor, is now trolling him in the exact same way. And listen, they used to call his behavior dangerous and disrespectful. They said that it was beneath the office. But now that Gavin Newsom is doing it, suddenly it's some brilliant political strategy. So let's start with the all caps X post. Newsom's team has basically been putting out posts that look exactly like Trump's old Twitter feed and like his Truth Social post, saying, make the maps great again, and calling his opponents names. But he didn't stop there, okay? He also rolled out a Patriot shop where you can buy MAGA style hats and even a hat that says Trump is not hot. And then there are the AI generated images. You've got Tucker Carlson and Kid Rock literally depicted as like angels blessing Newsom. It is weird, it is cringy, and yet this is how he's decided to run for president, by pretending to be the guy that his party claims is destroying America. Now let me pause here and say this: imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and whether he admits it or not, Gavin Newsom is admitting something by doing this. He's admitting that Trump's communication style works. The memes, the trolling, the showmanship, they connect with people in a way that Democrats haven't been able to replicate. But here's where it gets hypocritical, because these are the same people who've spent the last decade screaming about how Trump lowered the bar for political discourse, how his mean tweets were dangerous. If all of that is true, then why is Newsom using the exact same playbook? The answer is simple: because they're incapable of a unique thought. And that should tell you everything that you need to know about politics in 2025. The left doesn't actually hate Trump's tactics. They hate that he was the one who figured out that throwing political correctness out the window and just having fun with it actually works. And that's exactly why this strategy is going to fail for them. Sure, people are laughing now and rolling their eyes at the high school level social media digs between Newsom and Trump, but in the end, Trump was successful because he was being himself. Newsom won't be because he's cosplaying as someone else. I mean, let me remind you, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, a state with rolling blackouts, a homelessness crisis, crime through the roof, families fleeing in droves. And instead of fixing any of that, he's spending his time designing AI fan fiction where Kid Rock is blessing his candidacy, all to get back at Trump. I mean, this is politics as performative art. It is cosplay. It's not leadership. And yet the media is drooling over it because they think that it makes him some sort of fighter. Here's my take: if you have to imitate your enemy to beat him, you've already lost. Because all you've proven is that your side doesn't actually stand for anything original. You're just borrowing the tactics of the guy that you swore was the downfall of democracy. So yeah, Gavin, congrats. I mean, you've admitted Trump was right about one thing: politics is downstream from culture and memes matter. But the fact that you had to copy his exact playbook, that doesn't make you clever, it makes you look like a knockoff. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather have the original. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that Gavin Newsom can win by imitating Trump, or will it all backfire? Okay, for our pop culture corner this week, we could talk about Taylor Swift getting engaged. We could talk about the latest celebrity drama, but if I'm being honest, none of that makes me as happy as the fact that college football is back. There is just nothing like it. Saturdays in the fall are practically sacred. The tailgates, the rivalries, the bands, the energy, it is tradition and it is unapologetically American. And honestly, one of the last parts of culture that hasn't been completely ruined by politics. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. Marco Rubio made a joke in a recent cabinet hearing that President Trump should sign an executive order banning weddings during football season. And I've never agreed with a politician more in my life. Take a look at this clip.
This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football season is a scourge, Mr. President. It's dividing families. I don't know if we can have an executive order on this. It's insane, but it's really difficult. There's 7 other months of the year that people can get married, so I just wanted to say that because it's very, very difficult. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Y'all, I just love how relatable this administration is. And I think that this little joke during a cabinet meeting just goes to show how great of a chance Republicans have at keeping the White House in 2028, whether that's with Rubio leading the ticket or someone else. I mean, America is back. College football is back. While Hollywood's obsessing over celebrity engagements, I am going to be wearing my black and gold. I'm going to be making my tailgate menus, teaching my toddlers to yell MIZ, and then celebrating the real romance of fall, which is college football Saturdays. All right, let's move into the Hot Take Hotline for a few questions on my thoughts on current events and requests for advice. First question, I want kids young, but everyone around me keeps telling me to wait and live my life first. How do I respond without being rude? Okay, this one's easy. Here's what you gotta do. You gotta hold their hand, smile, look them dead in the eyes, and tell them that it is absolutely none of their business. Because honestly, that whole live your life first line is such a scam, as if marriage and motherhood mean that your life is suddenly over. Newsflash, raising a family is living your life. Okay, it's not something that you do after the fun is gone. It's the most meaningful thing that you'll ever do. Now, I get where they're coming from. A lot of people bought into this idea that your 20s should be this like big, endless girls' trip with bottomless mimosas and no responsibilities. And if that's what someone else wants, that's fine. But if what you want is a husband and babies, that's not small. That's not missing out. Okay, that is building something that lasts longer than a weekend in Cabo. And let me tell you, those same people who roll their eyes at you now, in 10 years, when they're swiping on dating apps and you're at the ball field watching your kid hit a home run, they are going to be the ones wondering if they waited too long. So how do you respond without being rude? You don't owe them an explanation. A smile and just a polite, well, this is what I want, is enough. What do you guys think? Is starting a family young the bold move of our generation, or do you think it is better to wait? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, second question. What are your thoughts on Trump's new executive order on flag burning? Okay, let's talk about this because I think this is one of those questions that really gets to the heart of where I land as a conservative woman who loves this country but also doesn't think that the government should be regulating every single thing that we do. On one hand, I completely understand why Trump did this. He's always been unapologetically pro-America, and let's be honest, nothing makes conservatives blood boil more than watching some college kid or activist set the flag on fire while chanting about how awful this country is. I get it. That is disgusting. It is offensive. It is ungrateful. But here's where I hesitate. Do I really want the federal government deciding what speech is and isn't allowed, even if that speech is vile? I mean, historically, the Supreme Court has said that flag burning falls under the First Amendment, and as much as I hate it, I kind of agree. Because the second that you let the government ban one form of expression, where does it stop? So here's my take. I will never defend flag burning. I think it is shameful and disgusting, but I also don't want the government policing speech, even if it's speech that I hate. Because if they can ban that, then what's stopping them from banning a pro-life protest tomorrow? Bottom line, I think that we should let the idiots burn the flag if they want, because that flag represents something that is so much bigger than them, and their little protest doesn't change that. All it does is tell you exactly who they are. What do you guys think? Do you support Trump's executive order, or do you think that this is one of those cases where free speech has to protect even the ugliest forms of expression? Drop your hot take in the comments. That is it for this week's episode of Based Behavior. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and for thinking critically and for just not being afraid to push back on the nonsense that we're surrounded by every single day. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment with your take on one of today's stories, and then most importantly, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss next week's episode. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and follow the show there and leave a 5-star review. That's how we reach more conservative women and how we grow this community of politigals who are ready to call out the lies that the left never thought that we would question. And don't forget, you can also join our private Facebook group for more real talk and memes and just encouragement throughout the week. I'm Erica Choinka from Politics for Her, and I will see you next week for more Based Behavior.